Okay, this is Bonsai Anonymous, and this is really not working very well. I don't know how I could get it. It's where it is, and I'm just going to leave it there. If it'll stay. Every time I look up there, it looks like it's cracking. But anyway, we can move on to what I want to do next. I think I have one of these down here already, but I don't see it. So I will just get another. So this is a mold, and what I want to do with it is make some walls. Now, I made this, I made it initially and then broke the pot that it was, and that could be a wall. You see it's something to hold some dirt in up higher. And I think I want it to be something that roots can get under, and that's what will happen there. But this also I want to make into a wall. And how I'm going to do it is, I'm going to put some really thick concrete that I'm going to make in a minute here, and fill half of it, not up to where it goes over this thing and makes a rim, just the circular part. And hopefully that will solidify and look cool. So I've got this, I've got a combination of cement, which is here, and all needs to be ground up. Cement, gravel, granite chips, and lava rock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up, and it'll be the heavy concrete that goes in here. And then after when I get it out, which will be a few days for sure, I learned that lesson. But when I get it out, it still will have a slight bit of workability. All of them do. And I'm going to use maybe not a wire brush, but a regular brush, and brush away some of the concrete around the stones here, so it looks like a wall that's made out of red and gray. So let me get something to mix this in, because that's not going to work. It's way too small for that. Okay, what I have is nothing. Has to be big enough to hold all this and mix it. Okay? So there it is. And what I'm hoping is that all the stones in here will help crush the concrete. You can see it gets all these clods of concrete, just like dry mud, but it's not solid. It hasn't gotten nearly enough moisture to actually solidify it. But in this mix here, I have so many of them, and I thought I would be smart and mix the gray and red rocks in, and maybe get some of the clods in the process. But what I think I'm finding is that I can't tell the difference between a rock and a clod until I grind it out with my hand, which is certainly great. It seems to be getting a little, the clods seem to be approaching some sort of uniform size, which is means that they're rocks and small ones. Okay, so before I put water in this, look up here. Okay, everything's sort of staying where it was. I only need it actually to hold long enough for me to get some dimension on it, and it's going to have to be concrete on the inside here, I'm afraid. I don't really have a choice. You know, this mix here would not be a bad choice, but I can't use it while it's still solidifying. Okay, I found my other mold. right there, right in front of my face. And these are the pots that come out of these are some of the best bonsai pots that I make. They really look cool. They're not eccentric like most of mine. If I could figure out a way to put some glaze on it, I might actually have something. Okay, so I got this here. This is all I wanted. You know, I feel pretty more, but that's good enough. All right. Set this here for a moment. Let's bring this down here a little bit. Like that. Let's see, how do we at? Well, yeah, I'm down here. Yeah, hello. Okay. Yeah, I'm ever at the forefront of technology. I have my little iWatch here that shows me what's on the screen, and that's a miracle. It's like having a little monitor. But what happens is that there's a little delay. So I move the camera, and then I find out that it's not really where I thought it was. Okay, so I used to stir this. Maybe just one of these bamboos. Bamboo is such a cool thing. You know, right away I can see that I didn't get nearly enough concrete in here to make anything that's going to work. Okay? And you see that is complete liquid. That'll never work. So I got to go get at least the same amount of concrete. The only exercise I get is going to get stuff in the middle of videos, middle of videos, and also going to rooms and then going back because I forgot why I went in the first place. Okay, so we're going to put some of this in. I'm going to try to grind it up the biggest globs as I do it. Okay, well I missed that one. There's okay. I need this to be thick enough that when I pour it in the mold or put it in the mold, it doesn't just spread all the way out along the bottom. I want it to spread out slowly because I only want to make a circle that's half as big around as the mold, and I want it to have a little height. So this stuff has to be thick. And it's getting there. It's getting there. I have a drill bit that goes on my little electric drill that mixes this kind of stuff up great. So you might ask, well, why aren't you using it? Well, I don't have it with me right now. And going to get it is another one of those 15-minute walks away from here to try to find it. This will work fine. But I was saying this little watch here, which shows me what's on the video, lags a little. It is what's called a Series 7000 watch. And for those of you that aren't into iWatches, it's the very first one. The very first one. And I don't know how much it was at the time, but I'm thinking it was hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And people were snapping them up because they really could do things that no other watch could do. And of course, all the imitators came along, and their watches couldn't do them either. So, iWatches just got more popular and more popular. And pretty soon, it was a brand, and you had to have the iWatch 15 or whatever. Now, the worst thing that could happen here is that I put too much of this in and I have to put some more water in. And that, when it gets to that, we go down to water by the drop just about. Although this may do it. The water seems to be getting in there. So, ever as I say at the forefront of technology, I now have the first generation iWatch, which probably was invented in the 1970s or something. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Pretty good. And as I do it, I'm just breaking more and more pieces off this little guy, which is tragic. That one was an experiment that didn't go so well. Okay, so here, let's see here. I have my deal, my mold, and I'll just take some of this. And it would be cool if I didn't have to do it with my hand, wouldn't it? It would be cool. But I don't think I'm going to succeed in that. I don't see anything that will work. There's a lot of things here I don't want to use. Okay, well, as I've said several times, I've been told that doing this with concrete in your hands is bad for your skin. In other words, it can burn your skin. And I know it's true because it happened to my wife, but it doesn't burn my skin for some reason. And I'm going to stretch this out like this. This is something I don't ever do when I have the other stuff. I don't ever put my finger down in there like this for some reason. It might speed things up a little. But okay, so that's going around that much of the thing. Now I have to build it up from that point. And I can tell you that I'm going to have a lot of this stuff left, so you got to think what to do with it. It's going to have to be given a little more water, I think, for it to really do it. Okay, so pack that down here. Trying to remember to pack toward the center because it wants to spread out. Okay. Something that's a little more moisture in it. No, the rocks are here, and I don't know that I'm getting them all the way down to the bottom, but sure I'm trying to. Alright, so I don't know if that's going to do it or not. I don't know. I'll poke down there at this a little and see if I got it. It's going to be hard to tell because there's rocks. I ended up just pushing the rocks farther down, which is probably okay. So once again, since I had to stop the video, what am I making? I'm trying to make a barrier that will fit in this pot when it's done, so I can plant plants in back of it and not have it, what's the word, give out. Okay, so I'm going to see how much of this pot I can make. Same thing. Then I'll make a round one, and what I might do is be able to break it to use it for different sizes, if I have enough here. Okay, it's in there. So I was going to say that since I'm so technologically advanced with this phone, that you would think I would be able to figure out why my little Bluetooth microphone that I use sounds like I'm in a gymnasium when I talk. Big echo. Now, I'm not exactly tech ignorant. I bought the first PA we had at the school. It wasn't much of one, PV, because we couldn't afford one, and that's what we used, and you know, it worked fine. It was back in the 1700s. Anyway, I see all these fancy YouTube content providers with really amazing stuff right there in their bedroom or whatever. And that's really fascinating to me. Some of them are only 4 years old, it would seem. Anyway, So this is slowly working its way around the bottom here. It won't pour because if you remember, it's full of rocks, so it's not going to move much, I don't think. So we're trying to get some of it down in there. So let's keep going on here. A little lower now. I don't know, maybe we'll run out. Well, if I was smart, I could patch that with some of it. I mean, those crack spots. So maybe I'll do that in a few minutes if this has any more oomph to it. I don't know if it has any oomph to it. It doesn't seem like it's going down there very well. Rest of it like this. I don't think that's going to survive that little rim, but put you down. Right. I got some of this left, so I'm going to try to sort it on here. I'm going to move that out of the way. So when this gets to be the consistency of I don't know, mortar, it can be used on this. It's really not very alluring having it coming out and go all over the ground here. Okay, so that's not probably my best patch I ever made, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to look like I did something. I think the glue is really what's doing the work. Well, it is what's doing the work. Okay, so put some on there, like that. Okay, so the rest of this, I will make into a pot. I will make it into a pot. There it is. I had a little luck with doing this. If this is sufficiently clay-like, which it kind of is, and make a pot out of it. I have to find something to put it on though. That wood right there would be ideal. So, use the hand piece. I'm not going to put oil on it. I'm just going to put him on here. Right over here. I had 3 or 4 pots this way. And I think it's worth showing because it's so easy. You don't need anything. Just concrete. And I have put that rock in here, but I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. So I go out like that, and down, 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 and then I go up all the way around. And this is a little more pliable. You go even farther up, and I probably will as it goes. What I'd like to find is some sort of shape in it. And I haven't done this with these stones in here before, so that could make it be a little less effective. But I'm thinking that the more I go around this circle like this, the better it's going to be, and the taller it's going to be. And it's just a matter of making it stay up there when it's up, and that's of course what the sand and all the other things do that we use. Okay, so let's just leave that for a second. I do have water down here that has add sand in it. I'm not going to rinse this off right now because I may want to do it more. I'm sure I will. Trying to get it to go up higher. So I can push it in, and that's one way. And that works pretty well. And what that makes, which I like, is more or less my fingerprints around the whole thing. So as we're kind of rolling it in, and like that, and then lifting it up. Now, the first time I did this, I thought it's just gonna, well, two things. It's gonna get stuck to the wood and I'll never get it up, okay? And those aren't two separate statements, by the way. But that didn't turn out to be true in the 3 or 4 I made. Now, okay, I'm not sure how deep it is, so I'm not gonna mess with it, but I'll leave it here like this. And then maybe in a day or two, we'll be able to see if I succeeded, because it would be cool if this held its shape, got taller and thinner, and then I could put a little mame bonsai in it. So I did the others. Mame is a term for small bonsai that will die before they get very big. At least in my house, that's what it means. Those of you who are in on the joke know why I call this bonsai anonymous. It's not much of a joke, actually, but I could have called it Bumblers Anonymous. The same thing, to me, seems to happen on bonsai YouTube channels that are sponsored, not sponsored, but hosted by people who really have been doing this for a long time. And I'm grateful that they're there. But for me, it gets a little discouraging because mine never look like that, and I do so much damage, break pots, and just all sorts of things, spill stuff that I never see these guys do. And they're almost always guys. I wish there were more women doing this. I think the additional brain power could make a difference. But the only person I ever saw who did videos where he kind of fessed up when something went wrong and said, well, this happened, so now I got to figure out what to do. I really love that. It was Tony, and I don't even know his last name. I think he was in Scotland, maybe. Tony's Bonsai. And his bonsai, his videos are still up. I recommend them highly. Unfortunately, he passed away. He was very sick, and so he's gone. And I'm not stepping into the breach that he left when he left. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just showing you how bumbling I am at this, and how many mistakes I make, and what I do when I make a mistake. Okay? Normally what I do is try to figure out a way to use the mistake into something else. Okay? This is an example of that. This pot, it was a copper cup actually. Let's put the enemy over here. But it was on this base, this copper base, soldered, or I guess welded, not soldered. I don't know the answer to how it was attached, but the answer to how it was attached was not well. Okay? So I tried to glue it on with my favorite 6000 glue, and it didn't take. And so instead, what I decided to do was take this sad little pot I made a few days ago. This is one of the ones I made out of the clay that I put some wood ash in, and it's very, very weak. This piece broke off just by bumping it, and here's another one that's going to break off. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but right now it's on a base, and the base was made by taking the wires from the drainage screen and bending them over, and then putting them up underneath here in support of this pot. So what I'm hoping is that it will last a little longer that way. And the other one lasted for years. I mean, it used to have pencils in it in my office. Okay, so you can see the little bonsai pot. I still can mess with it easily, but I'm going to leave it the way it is. And the only thing I would mess with would be to make it get up a little taller. And the most I think I can gain is, I don't know, maybe 1/16 of an inch. That makes a difference, I guess. What I lose in it is thickness in the wall, and that's something that I have to be careful of with this kind of clay, not because it has wood ash in it, but because it has lots of rocks in it. And I tend to think that those weaken the clay. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do today on screen. And just to review, I brought this big clumsy pot over here that we had broken last year, and I had put it in this thinking I would be able to do something with it. And I'm going to leave it in this. I'm not taking it out of this. But what I did take out is the black, was that true? No, I was going to take out the black rocks, but I decided to leave them in. Doing that would involve moving this, and I don't really want to. And they're good on the bottom, no problem. Real good drainage. I'm not sure that this thing has any holes in the bottom. So that's something I'm going to have to investigate at some point after this blues sets. Now, looking at this, I bet that broke because this was moved and bounced and put some pressure on this piece that hangs, and of course it was only that thick of spots on the bottom. That's not going to cut it. So before I do much with this up here, I think I'm going to reinforce it. Now, that's going to be tricky because I want to see a lot of this wall back here. But I can use, what I'll use is something like, oh, I had some over here earlier today. I could use the plastic screen, but I have lots of this, which doesn't really work out very well. And I can put it as for a screen. I can bend that to shape that in that shape. That's it right there. And put it on there and put some concrete on it, and that's going to help hold that together. Okay, so cleaned that out, glued that up. Then I wanted to make some supports for terraces here, or at least one, maybe two. I had thought this was slanted up like the one on TV, but it isn't. I mean, I could build it up into a terrace with some bonsai soil. That doesn't sound like such a bad idea. But I like the idea of a river running through where these trees are. And that would, if the river is higher than the tree, then it's not going to make a lot of sense. Let's see here. What are these in here? I don't think I want them in there. In between here is where the drainage is. That's where the drainage is. Anyway, all right. Let's put that all right up there. I'm coming on to the idea of having it be a hill, and that making it be a hill is a whole other problem. And that's where this is going to come in. I believe this is going to. It'll be a berm. How about that? That big. I like that idea. And then the other one, this other one that I'm making, or two of them, can be up high here. Okay, that is good enough for right now. Another video, and this is Bonsai Anonymous out.